on his visit on the 6th of September 2019 to Abia State. In addition to the conventional security, we have also collaborated with other Southwest states to establish a community-based security outfit called the Amotekun. That came into existence through a law passed by the State House of Assembly.
In infrastructure, the governor notes that his administration's approach has been to develop and build what meets the immediate needs of the people and provides a solid foundation for continued and sustainable development.
Total length of new roads constructed is 87 kilometers, out of which 20.3 kilometers have been completed by this weekend. Total length of habitable roads carried out is 68 kilometers. Some of these roads include Obantoko Road, Idiaba Elite Road, Abeokuta Shagamu Road, Ikola Navy Osiota Road, Power Road in Ota, State Hospital Road in Ilaro, Otayole Diroko Road, Molipa Fusigboyo Joffa Street, Ijebu-Ode, Ashafa Oke, Ashafa Isale, Ayegun Ojofa Street, Ijebu-Ode, Bright Fashion, Bawura Street, Shagamu, Hospital Road, Shagamu, Obayewole Dua Carriageway, Uwawa Alakoru Road, Adigbe Bridge, Ikorita Meji Adeole Olose Tuntun Vespa Ifo, Iberekodo General Hospital Internal Road, Ipelu Ilishan Road, Shagamu Ipelu Ode Road, Shion Ogere Road, Ijebu-Ode Epe Road, which is a major link between our state and Lagos and an alternative to the busy Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. But for the COVID-19 pandemic and the requirement for physical distancing, we would have been formally commissioning some of these roads as part of the activities marking the first year anniversary. Nonetheless, I am happy to report that the activation of some of the completed projects is ongoing for the immediate use and benefit of the good people of Ogun State.
In the health sector, Governor Abiodun mentioned all that have been achieved in the area of public health care infrastructure, among others.
In the area of health, we have recorded the underlisted achievements. Rehabilitation of 2 general hospitals, one in Abeokuta and the other one in Ilaro. Ongoing rehabilitation of 236 primary health care centers. Recruitment of medical officers, resident doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and other healthcare professionals in various cadres into the Olabisi Onabanjo University Children's Hospital, Shagamu. To date, 18 health workers have been recruited in the hospital, while 56 others have been recruited across the state health facilities. Immunization of almost 1.3 million children against polio, an approximate 33% increase from the total recorded in the previous year. Regular medical outreaches offering free medical examination, including free eyeglasses, immunizations, blood pressure and sugar level checks, hepatitis counseling, and vaccination. Provision of life-saving intervention to 8,000 women during the maternal and child health week. Upgrade of selected state hospitals to provide prevention of HIV from mother to child and antiretroviral therapy services. This has impacted a significant reduction in the number of infants exposed to HIV.
For the COVID-19 pandemic, he underlines specific efforts made to flatten the curve of the virus in the state.
The establishment of 5 treatment and isolation centers for COVID-19 patients at Ikene, Shagam, Abeokuta, with a total bed capacity of over 300. Some of these isolation centers will also be valuable in the treatment of other infectious diseases. Establishment of a molecular laboratory at Olabisi Onabanjo University Hospital, Shagamu, which is the first molecular laboratory solely funded by state government in Nigeria, with a capacity of 150 tests per day. The first COVID-19 mobile laboratory in Nigeria, with the capacity to run 450 tests a day, is now located at the intended 250-bed hospital at Abeokuta. With the molecular laboratory, the state has a combined daily test capacity of 600. Completion of the intensive care unit floor of the 250-bed hospital at Abeokuta, with capacity for 18 available beds, 8 of which are high dependency and 10 ICU. Renovation of 2 general hospitals and 20 selected PHCs to serve as first responders to cases COVID-19, since the PHCs are the closest and most easily accessible to the people. Upward review of the hazard allowance to health workers by 300%. Enrollment of over 8,000 health workers in a life insurance scheme.
area of social welfare and women development, according to the governor, the approach is to develop different patterns of empowerment for various social classes.
We have continued to provide direct intervention funds and also partner with the federal government and its agencies for intervention funds. Some of the initiatives are the Ogtv Dapo scheme for women, which provides economic empowerment and increased productivity for collective development. Empowerment of over 1,000 widows with startup funds to start their own businesses. The Conditional Cash Transfer, CCT, is a partnership with the federal government. It takes worthy of note that our state is just about to benefit from this scheme for the first time in the last 4 years as a result of our administration's vigorous pursuit on behalf of our people.
Governor Abiodun said in the last 1 year, the current administration has committed itself to rekindling the hope and reigniting the faith of the people in the government, promising them more of such in years ahead. Tunde Olaniro, Ogtv News.
The current administration in Ogun State's 5 pillars of governance, tagged Isheya, have resulted in the giant strides evident in all major programs of the state in the last 1 year. Governor Dapo Abiodun stated this in his May 29 broadcast to the people of the state. Isheya is an acronym for infrastructure, social welfare and well-being, education, youth development, agriculture and food security. Tunde Olaniro once again has details in this package.
COVID-19 pandemic, the celebration of the first year in office of the Prince Dapo Abiodun-led administration in Ogun State would have been with pomp and pageantry. But despite that, Governor Dapo Abiodun had the opportunity of mentioning the major achievements of his administration in his first year anniversary broadcast.
Let me say that the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic has tested our effectiveness as an administration. However, we are a government that has been focused, deliberate, methodical, driven by an unwavering commitment to serve, and one that enjoys tremendous goodwill of our people.
In the housing sector, Governor Abiodun said the target of about 2,000 affordable housing units across the state, with a minimum of 500 in each of the 3 senatorial districts, remains on course.
Amongst others, we have embarked on the following initiatives: the construction of Prince Court Estate at Kent Abeokuta as a low-cost housing project with a plan for 450 units, out of which 130 units of the first phase of the project are fully completed. Construction of King's Court Estate project at Okemoso Abeokuta. Construction of additional 23 units of 2 and 3 bedroom bungalows at Laderis Estate Civil Servant Scheme. Down review of the selling price of the 3-bedroom flats and 2-bedroom flats at the AAK Degu Estate.
Education sector is also on the front burner of the administration, with some feet in her primary, secondary and tertiary school education system.
We place a premium on provision of conducive environment for our children and wards. As I speak, we have not only renovated, but we have also reconstructed 95 public schools fitted with modern corrugated roofs, furniture, halls and modern toilet facilities across the 3 senatorial districts of our dear state. We are committed to providing similar structures and facilities for at least 1 school in each of our 236 wards. Beyond the structures, we have also set up a government delivery unit for education. Specifically on the 6th of September 2019, we approved the backlog of 10,000 teaching and non-teaching staff promotion exercise for 2016-2017, and letters were immediately issued to that effect by the Teaching Service Commission and the State Universal Basic Education Board. Other interventions include foreign capacity building for school administrators, technologically based human development for our teachers, induction of a total of 132 principals, 122 vice principals, and 4 zonal secretaries to fill the deficit the administration met across secondary schools in the state.
The target of the current administration in the state is to make the state the food basket of the country. This is why so much energy has been invested in her agriculture sector.
Permit me to recall a few of our efforts that I speak so glowingly about. The Anchor Boas program. We have facilitated the creation by CBN of 3,500 farmers drawn across all 20 local government areas with over 700 million naira. The Anchor Boas program involves 7 commodities, including cassava, maize, and rice. Our government, with our world-class agri-extension workers, are providing technical expertise and assistance to the farmers, handling training and consultancy. The Ogun Border Project. Ananko provides day chicks, feeds, inputs and training to young farmers and buys back the chickens after 6 weeks. To date, about 9,000 youths have benefited and made a profit of around 130,000 naira in each 6-week cycle. The joint Ogun State and International Fund for Agricultural Development (IFAD) Value Chain Project. This is ongoing across 8 local governments in the state, including Obafemi Iwode, Yewa North, Yewa South, Ijebu North, Ijebu East, Ifon, Odeda, and Odegbodu. The Agro-Industrial Processing Zone. After competitive bidding with other southwest states, Ogun State was on the 8th of April 2020 shortlisted by the African Development Bank (AFDB) as a major hub for industrial cassava, poultry, agroforestry, and fishery.
The public service is not left out of the Midas touch of the Prince Dr. Abiodun administration.
Despite some flaws, we have upheld all the appointments of permanent secretaries made in the twilight of the last administration. The appointment of other new permanent secretaries further strengthens the bureaucracy and the capacity to deliver on our promises. In the same vein, we have regularized the employment of those newly employed between the same period. To affirm our commitment to the welfare of our workers, we are one of the few states that has concluded the negotiation of a new minimum wage without any rancor. Indeed, we could have commenced payment by February 2020 if not for the unforeseen circumstance as created by the COVID-19 pandemic. Nevertheless, this has not deterred us in putting in place other welfare programs and projects to continue in motivating our public servants.
Governor Abiodun promised that his administration will not be distracted and resolutely on the track towards making positive changes in the life of a state created 44 years ago. Tunde Olaniro, Ogtv News.
Creating an enabling environment for intending and existing farmers through the provision of credit, land, import linkage, training, and market are some of the giant strides of Prince Dr. Abiodun-led administration in the agricultural sector of Ogun State. Similarly, over 50 local and international private investors have been attracted to the food security agenda of the present administration, which has empowered 60,000 beneficiaries under the Anchor Borrowers Program. Ife Shuluade in this report has a success record of Prince Dr. Abiodun's administration in the agricultural sector under 1 year in office.
Ogun State, blessed with a landscape of over 1.4 million hectares of land that is suitable for growing both food and cash crops, has seen Governor Dr. Abiodun's administration earmark 40,000 hectares of land for diverse agricultural projects, and with high priority placed on agriculture as one of the enablers of food security, employment generation, and empowerment. Ogun State Governor Prince Dr. Abiodun's Building Our Future Together agenda has provided an avenue that encourages public-private partnership through the motivation of intending and existing farmers with available resources.
For this administration, agriculture has been a key pillar for development of the state. His Excellency made sure that when he first entered office, he entered with a strategic roadmap. So from the transition, he developed a very detailed agricultural roadmap that was inclusive. He had stakeholder engagement with the farmers even from the time of the transition. And he was wanting to hear from the community. He wants to make sure that what he's doing is not a top-down approach. It is a bottom-up approach. It is an inclusive approach. And so that stakeholders engagement was really key.
This necessitated the clearing of 17 strategically located arable hectares of land suitable for planting food and cash crops in the state for registered farmers.
The state governor, our governor, is supporting us with land clearing. When we clear the land, then we now supply the youth with seed, we give them money, input, and we link them to off-taker rice processors. And in Ogun State, we have 4 mills that are working. Presently, they are suffering for paddy. So you've seen now that as in some weeks to come, we are going to be taking paddy from here.
The job portal created by the Ogun State government registered 60,000 farmers, mostly youths without support.
We are really commending the state government Value Chain Development Program, IFAD, and other international organizations that are supporting us.
But the Ministry of Agriculture, led by its commissioner, Dr. Adeola Odedino, has provided them with basic needs, which are land, credit, input linkage, training, and market.
We started linking farmers with opportunity. We started linking farmers, especially young farmers, with land and with off-taking support. We intend to give inputs to smallholder farmers in maize and cassava. And on tree crop, we want to give input support to farmers who can plant cashew and cocoa, and that is what we are going to do.
That we'll be able to achieve as much as about at least to start with 10,000 hectares of land this particular year. And by the time we do that, we will then start the cassava cultivation.
This was consummated as Prince Dapper Abiodun, during his first year in office, flagged off the year 2020 planting season with presentations of credit and input linkage to 3,500 farmers for cassava production.
The State Anchor Growers Program, we partner with Central Bank of Nigeria, to whom we are eternally grateful. I'm standing here today, I'm filled with a sense of fulfillment and achievement at the continued success of this program. It is with those feelings that I join others to welcome all of you to the official flag off of the year 2020 planting season and distribution of inputs to the first batch of 3,500 cassava farmers drawn from all the 20 local governments under the Ogun State Anchor Growers Program.
Training of extension workers who later trained local farmers on the field was also executed by the state government at various local government areas of the state. Despite the outbreak of coronavirus ravaging the world, Ogun State stands out as an exemplary state, partnering local and international investors for the purpose of feeding its people, neighboring states, and the country at large.
When we came in, we first set in the agenda for agriculture to be food security by supporting smallholder farmers, job creation, agri-industrialization, strategic partnership with local, national, and international organizations. And we also want to support private sector investment in agriculture. In all this, I think we've done very well.
This move necessitated the Ministry of Agriculture's tour of some strategic food processing sites, such as rice farm and milling site at Igua, tilapia fish farm at Oyo Dam, as well as the second phase of Ogun Broiler Project, which saw 54 youths presented with 1,000 broiler each at Eweje Farm Institute under Odeda local government area of the state. Clearly, Prince Dapper Abiodun's administration has not only focused on improving the mindset of small, medium and large-scale farmers, but has also in the past 1 year tackled unemployment crisis, built capacities through training of local farmers and extension workers, and effectively made its governance style an all-inclusive one with a public-private partnership initiative in its agriculture sector.
The National Association of Resident Doctors on Saturday issued a 14-day ultimatum to the government to address some of the pending demands, including the non-payment of COVID-19 inducement allowances. If the demands are not met by the end of the ultimatum, the doctors' union threatened to embark on an industrial strike. The doctors issued the warning at a press briefing in Bauchi after the 40th Ordinary General Meeting of the association. One of the demands is the payment of the recent COVID-19 inducement allowance that was widely speculated to have been paid to doctors and other health workers. President of the association, Aliyu Sunkoba, said they also want a universal implementation of the President Training Act in federal and state teaching hospitals, while calling on government at all levels to provide adequate personnel protective equipment for health workers. At least 268 Nigerians evacuated from China have arrived in Abuja. The flight that conveyed the evacuees landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport on Saturday afternoon. Disclosing this in a tweet, the chairman, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri-Rewa, said the returnees would proceed on compulsory 14 days quarantine as stipulated by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. Some of the nationals had faced serious racial discriminations in Guangzhou, China, from provincial officials. They were reportedly evicted from their apartments and hotels following the alleged refusal to go for the mandatory quarantine imposed by the Guangdong provincial authorities sequel to the outbreak of coronavirus. India has announced plans to further ease a strict national lockdown, even as the country reported a record daily rise in new coronavirus cases. From 8 June, restaurants, hotels, shopping centers, and places of worship will be allowed to reopen in many areas in the first stage of a 3-phase plan. Weeks later, probably in July, schools and colleges will resume teaching, but areas with high numbers of COVID-19 cases will remain under tight lockdown. The plan comes after India registered a new record in a single day with nearly 8,000 cases reported on Saturday. In total, India has recorded some 174,500 cases and nearly 5,000 deaths. The nation of 1.3 billion has been hit less hard by the coronavirus than many other countries. Health officials say that they are able to further lift the lockdown in many places because most cases have been restricted to urban areas in a handful of states. Now sports. The Ukrainian Premier League said on Saturday it had postponed one of its matches after several players tested positive of coronavirus. The match between Karpaty Lviv and Mariupol was set to be played in the western city of Lviv on Sunday, as the season is restarting this weekend in line with easing of coronavirus restrictions. The several Karpaty players and staff have tested positive for coronavirus. The Ukrainian top flight governing body said in a statement it was not immediately clear how many people had been infected, but the league said all of them had been isolated. And before we go on the news, don't forget, every accomplishment starts with a decision to try. And you can now watch us live on those platforms: Apple, Roku, Windows, BlackBerry, Facebook, and Android devices. You can also watch live on Ogtv website, www.ogtv.com.ng. That was the news. Many thanks for watching. It's bye for now.